October country, the country where it is always turning late in the year, that country where the hills are fog and the rivers are mist, where noons go quickly, dusks and twilights linger, and midnights stay. That country composed in the main of cellars, sub-cellars, coal bins, closets, attics, and pantries faced away from the sun. That country whose people are autumn people, thinking only autumn thoughts, whose people passing at night on the empty walks sound like rain. The Crowd. Mr. Spallner put his hands over his face. There was a feeling of movement in space. The beautifully tortured scream, the impact and tumbling of the car with wall, through wall, over and down like a toy, and him hurled out of it. Then, silence. The crowd came running. Faintly where he lay he heard them running. He could tell their ages and their sizes by the sound of their numerous feet, over the summer grass and on the lined pavement, and over the asphalt street, and picking through the cluttered bricks to where his car hung half into the night sky, still spinning its wheels with a senseless centrifuge. Where the crowd came from he didn't know. He struggled to remain aware, and then the crowd faces hemmed in upon him, hung over him like the large, glowing leaves of bent-down trees. They were a ring of shifting, compressing, changing faces over him, looking down, reading the time of his life or death by his face, making his face into a moon dial, where the moon cast a shadow from his nose out upon his cheek to tell the time of breathing or not breathing any more ever. How swiftly a crowd comes, he thought, like the iris of an eye compressing in out of nowhere. A siren, a police voice, movement, blood trickled from his lips, and he was being moved into an ambulance. Someone said, "Is he dead?" And someone else said, "No, he's not dead." And a third person said, "He won't die. He's not going to die." And he saw the faces of the crowd beyond him in the night, and he knew by their expression that he wouldn't die. And that was strange. He saw a man's face, thin, bright, pale. The man swallowed and bit his lips, very sick. There was a small woman, too, with red hair and too much red on her cheeks and lips, and a little boy with a freckled face. Others' faces, an old man with a wrinkled upper lip, an old woman with a mole upon her chin. They had all come from where? Houses, cars, alleys, from the immediate and the accident-shocked world, out of alleys and out of hotels and out of streetcars, and seemingly out of nothing they came. The crowd looked at him and he looked back at them, and did not like them at all. There was a vast wrongness to them. He couldn't put his finger on it. They were far worse than this machine-made thing that happened to him now. The ambulance doors slammed. Through the windows he saw the crowd looking in. The crowd that always came so fast, so strangely fast, to form a circle, to peer down, to probe, to gawk, to question, to point, to disturb, to spoil the privacy of a man's agony by their frank curiosity. The ambulance drove off. He sank back, and their faces still stared into his face, even with his eyes shut. The car wheels spun in his mind for days. One wheel, four wheels, spinning and whirring around and around. He knew he was wrong. Something wrong with the wheels, and the whole accident, and the running of feet, and the curiosity. The crowd's faces mixed and spun into wild rotation of the wheels. He awoke. Sunlight, a hospital room, a hand taking his pulse. "How do you feel?" asked the doctor. The wheels faded away. Mr. Spallner looked around. "Fine, I guess." He tried to find words about the accident. "Doctor?" "Yes." "That crowd. Was it last night?" "2 days ago. You've been here since Thursday. You're all right, though. You're doing fine. Don't try and get up." "That crowd. Something about the wheels, too. Do accidents make people, well, a little off? Temporarily, sometimes." He lay staring up at the doctor. "Does it hurt your time sense? Panic sometimes does. Make a minute seem like an hour, or maybe an hour seem like a minute?" "Yes." "Let me tell you, then." He felt the bed under him, the sunlight on his face. "You'll think I'm crazy. I was driving too fast, I know. I'm sorry now. I jumped the curb and hit that wall. I was hurt and numb. I know, but I still remember things, mostly the crowd. He waited for a moment, then decided to go on, for he suddenly knew what it was that bothered him. The crowd got there too quickly. 30 seconds after the smash, they were all standing over me and staring at me. It's not right they should run that fast, so late at night. You think it was 30 seconds, said the doctor. It was probably 3 or 4 minutes. Your senses. Yeah, I know. My senses. The accident. But I was conscious. I remember one thing that puts it all together and makes it funny. God, so damned funny. The wheels of my car upside down. The wheels were still spinning when the crowd got there. The doctor smiled. The man in bed went on. I'm positive. The wheels were spinning, and spinning fast. The front wheels. Wheels don't spin very long. Friction cuts them down. And these were really spinning. You're confused, said the doctor. I'm not confused. The street was empty, not a soul in sight, and then the accident, and the wheels still spinning, and all those faces over me, quick in no time, and the way they looked down at me. I knew I wouldn't die. Simple shock, said the doctor, walking away into the sunlight. They released him from the hospital 2 weeks later. He rode home in a taxi. People had come to visit him during his 2 weeks on his back. And to all of them he told his story, the accident, the spinning wheels, the crowd, and they all laughed with him concerning it and passed it off. He leaned forward and tapped on the taxi window. What's wrong? The cabbie looked back. Sorry, boss. This is one hell of a town to drive in. Got an accident up ahead. Want me to detour? Yes, no, wait, go ahead. Let's take a look. The cab moved forward, honking. Funny damn thing, said the cabbie. Hey, you! Get that flea trap out of the way. Quieter. Funny thing. More damn people. Nosy people. Mr. Spallner looked up and watched his fingers trembling on his knee. You noticed that too? Sure, said the cabbie. All the time. There's always a crowd. You'd think it was their own mother got killed. They come running awfully fast, said the man in the back of the cab. Same way with a fire or an explosion. Nobody around, boom, lots of people around, I don't know. Ever see an accident? At night? The cabbie nodded. Sure, don't make no difference. There's always a crowd. The wreck came into view. A body lay on the pavement. You knew there was a body even if you couldn't see it because of the crowd with its back toward him. As he sat in the rear of the cab with its back toward him, he opened the window and almost started to yell, but he didn't have the nerve. If he yelled, they might turn around, and he was afraid to see their faces. I seem to have a penchant for accidents, he said in his office. It was late afternoon. His friend sat across the desk from him listening. I got out of the hospital this morning, and first thing on the way home, we detoured around a wreck. Things run in cycles, said Morgan. Let me tell you about my accident. I've heard it all. But it was funny, you must admit. I must admit. Now how about a drink? They talked on for half an hour or more. All the while they talked. At the back of Spallner's brain, a small watch ticked, a watch that never needed winding. It was the memory of a few little things, wheels and faces. At about 5:30 there was a hard metal noise in the street. Morgan nodded and looked out and down. What did I tell you? Cycles, a truck, and a cream-colored Cadillac. Yes, yes. Spallner walked to the window. He was very cold, and as he stood there, he looked at his watch. At the small minute hand, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds. People running. 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. From all over, people came running. 15, 16, 17, 18 seconds. More people, more cars, more horns blowing. Curiously distant, Spallner looked upon the scene as an explosion in reverse. The fragments of the detonation sucked back to the point of implosion. 19, 20, 21 seconds, and the crowd was there. Spallner made a gesture down at them, wordless. The crowd had gathered so fast. He saw a woman's body. A moment before the crowd swallowed it up, Morgan said, You look lousy. Here, finish your drink. I'm all right. Let me alone, I'm all right. Can you see those people? Can you see any of them? I wish we could see them closer, Morgan cried out. Where in the hell are you going? Spallner was out the door, Morgan after him and down the stairs as rapidly as possible. Come along and hurry. Take it easy. You're not a well man. They walked out onto the street. Spallner pushed his way forward. He thought he saw a red-haired woman with too much red color on her cheeks and lips. There! He turned wildly to Morgan. Did you see her? See who? Damn it, she's gone. The crowd closed in. The crowd was all around, breathing and looking and shuffling and mixing and mumbling and getting in the way when he tried to shove through. Evidently the red-haired woman had seen him coming and run off. He saw another familiar face, a little freckled boy. But there are many freckled boys in the world, and anyway it was no use. Before Spalner reached him, the little boy ran away and vanished among the people. Is she dead? A voice asked. Is she dead? She's dying, someone else replied. She'll be dead before the ambulance arrives. They shouldn't have moved her. They shouldn't have moved her. All the crowd faces, familiar yet unfamiliar, bending over, looking down, looking down. Hey, mister, stop pushing. Who's shoving you, buddy? Or who you shoving, buddy? Spalner came back out, and Morgan caught hold of him before he fell. You damned fool, you're still sick. Why in hell did you have to come down here? Morgan demanded. I don't know. I really don't. They moved her, Morgan. Someone moved her. You should never move a traffic victim. It kills them. It kills them. Yeah, that's the way with people, the idiots. And there we will pause.